Today we'll talk about the first steps to make a documentary. This video will be part of a series of tutorials about documentaries, from getting the first idea to the editing process. I am not a professional documentary filmmaker and I don't have the pretension to say I'm one. But 2 months ago I released a documentary called The Life of a Digital Nomad. And during the making of this documentary, as well as all the other videos I did this past year and a half, I've learned a lot about documentary filmmaking, as well as storytelling, editing, so that's what I want to share with you in this series of videos. The first thing you need is an idea or a subject. But what's a good idea? It is something that people are not used to see, that is entertaining, that takes them out of their routine, that they might be interested in. But the most important, it's something that you are interested in, because no matter what it is, if you find it interesting, you will make it interesting for others. To find a good idea, watch the world around you. Walk around, talk to people, go to museum, gallery, bookstores. Don't stay in front of your computer and type on Google. It will lead you nowhere. To create, to have ideas, you need space. Always wanted to do that. An idea can be a person, a topic, a place. There is a really good documentary called The Beatles of Grey Garden. I will link the link to watch it below. There is nothing really special about the idea of this documentary. It's just a mother living with her daughter. But the character, the persons in this documentary are so special and unique that it makes the documentary very interesting. The idea for my documentary was to share the life of digital nomads. Don't talk so much about their jobs, like a lot of videos do, but talk about their lifestyle. The struggle they have, the more happy moments they have, the benefit they get from living abroad, from working from home. That's what I wanted to share. Then when you choose your topic, you need to read as much as you can. You need to know everything about the subject. Contact experts, read books, look online, read articles. You really need to become an expert yourself, and if you think you know everything about the subject, you will see that the more you learn about something, the more you realize that you know nothing about it. If you don't do this research, this part of the job, then your documentary might be wrong and incomplete. For example, I did my documentary in Tenerife because I had contact there that lived in a digital nomad community, so I could ask questions about the subject. I also contacted organizations on the island that works with digital nomads, so I could ask some questions to really know everything I could about this topic. Then what you need is a story, and this is where you're going to see if your documentary is possible or not. The story is what's going to keep the viewer entertained, what's driving the documentary. A documentary, it's not only nice images, information, or interviews. There is something that links everything together. The story brings you from a point A to a point B. If the subject of the video is an artist, the story can be him making a piece of art. There is a really nice Netflix series that does that, called Abstract: The Art of Design. If the subject is a place, then the story can be the way to get there, all the adventure, all the time it took, all the travel to get to this place. That's a bit what I did in my video about nomads in Iran. What I did for my documentary, because I had 5 different stories, is to mix them together and take the viewer from the morning, so the sunrise and some morning activities like cooking the breakfast, to the night, to the sunset and the more night activity where people are enjoying dinner and this is a bit where I fell, so my documentary doesn't really have a story, which doesn't make it really entertaining. Finding a story is the hardest part. I don't really like to follow rules, but a documentary should at least follow 3 steps: beginning, middle and end. Or you can also say beginning, conflict and resolution. The conflict is the most important. If there is no conflict, then the video might be a bit plain. When you choose your story, you also have to think about what message you want to convey, what you want to communicate through this documentary. When you think about the idea, you also have to think about the story. There is a story for every idea, but some are easier than others. You also have to decide what's possible depending on your budget, your level of filmmaking, and the contacts you have. Some stories are really great, but they are impossible to realize for you at this time. For example, when I was in Iraq, I wanted to do a video about the rebuilding of Mosul, but it was impossible to get there. I would have to pay a driver to get me to the city, to pass the checkpoints, I would have to pay a fixer. So that would be a crazy budget, and at this time, I didn't have this money. So this story was impossible to tell. Finally, don't be scared to contact people and turn them down. Not every person you contact will be good for your documentary. And there is nothing worse than filming something and not putting it in the final edit. So save your time and the time of these people and just say no. So I'm really sorry, I just came back from running. I'm not clean or anything, but I just need to finish this video. So we're gonna do it while I'm having breakfast. At the end, having a story is not mandatory. You can still build it after the edit when you filmed everything. But having a story before you start saves you a lot of time. And for sure your story will be more interesting. At least have a main idea of the story. Then it will maybe change, but you need to have a big idea of what the story will be. You need to be flexible and adaptable. Nothing will happen as you expect it. Because of the weather, the schedule of the people you have to interview, your schedule, life in general. There are always things that happen that are not expected. So be ready to adapt to all the situations. Then when you have your idea, the story, the people you want to meet, the location you want to go, you need to write a script. But we'll talk about that in the next video. So I hope you enjoyed this first tutorial. It's my first time doing that. So it was quite interesting. It's a way for me to look back at what I did and kind of do a checklist of what I've learned and share it with you. If you enjoyed it, tell me in the comments so I can know if it's useful or not. If it's useless, then I'm not going to spend more time doing that. But if you liked it, then share the video, like it, subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like that, and if you don't, tell me as well.